The cold didn't ask permission. It crushed forests, froze rivers solid, and killed the unprepared in hours. Yet long before modern gear, people stayed alive through Siberian winters that dipped below -60 degrees Celsius, using nothing but snow, earth, bone, and hard-earned knowledge. This is one of those survival secrets history nearly buried. And if you value self-reliance, hit subscribe now, because this channel exists to recover the wisdom that still works when everything else fails. Siberia isn't just cold, it's hostile. Wind strips heat from skin, wood snaps like glass, breath turns to ice. In this environment, tents failed. Open fires betrayed you. Thin walls meant death. Ancient hunter-gatherers faced a problem that demanded total reinvention of shelter itself. Survival wasn't about toughness. It was about understanding how nature really works. They didn't fight winter, they partnered with it. Here's the counterintuitive truth, modern science later confirmed. Snow insulates, not because it's warm, but because it traps air. Millions of tiny air pockets slow heat loss better than many modern building materials. Packed correctly, snow can hold interior temperatures near freezing, even when the outside world is far colder. That difference is the line between life and death. These shelters weren't sloppy snow piles. Density mattered. Layering mattered. Too loose and wind cut through. Too dense, and heat escaped. The builders knew exactly how to strike the balance. Snow became a breathable, insulating armour. Forget the idea that snow shelters were all neat white domes. In Siberia, designs evolved based on terrain and season. Many shelters were dug partially into the earth, using frozen ground as the first thermal barrier. Snow was packed over roofs and walls. Earth and ice reinforced weak points. The result looked less like a snow hut and more like a low-profile winter bunker. Some structures used sloped roofs to shed wind. Others blended so completely into the landscape they vanished under snowfall. These weren't temporary shelters. Some lasted entire winters. The frame came first, fallen timber when available. Antlers, large bones from hunted animals. In some cases, massive ancient bones formed load-bearing arches strong enough to support heavy snow layers. Over that skeleton went hides, bark, or brush. Then came snow, layer by layer, packed, smoothed, hardened by cold. The final shell blocked wind entirely. Predators couldn't smell inside easily. Storms slid over the structure instead of tearing it apart. This was insulation and security fused into one design. Fire inside snow sounds like a disaster. It wasn't if you understood airflow. Fire pits were shallow and controlled. Heat rose slowly. Small ventilation holes were carefully placed to release smoke without dumping warmth. Hot air circulated. Moisture escaped. Carbon monoxide didn't build up. The fire wasn't meant to heat the space aggressively. It stabilized it. Body heat did the rest. In many shelters, temperatures hovered just below freezing, while outside conditions could kill in minutes. That's thermal regulation mastery. Food security mattered as much as warmth. These shelters included frozen storage zones built into walls or floors. Meat stayed preserved naturally. Tools stayed dry. Entrances were often low and narrow, forcing cold air to sink away from living areas. Some families lived together, sharing warmth and labour. Cooperation wasn't cultural decoration. It was a survival system. As permanent villages and industrial materials spread, snow shelters were dismissed as primitive. But, modern architecture is circling back. Earth-sheltered homes, passive heating, thermal mass, wind-deflecting design, all rediscoveries of principles ancient Siberians mastered through necessity. When systems fail, old knowledge becomes new again. Snow is not your enemy. Wind is. Insulation beats heat generation. Location matters more than size. Layering matters more than thickness. Ventilation saves lives. Low profiles survive storms. These shelters weren't about comfort. They were about control. Control of heat, air, energy, exposure. In an off-grid scenario, a winter emergency or long-term survival planning, these ideas scale down beautifully. Snow walls, earth berms, windbreaks, controlled airflow. The blueprint is ancient, but the advantage is timeless. The people who survived Siberia didn't have modern gear. They had understanding. They read snow like engineers. They shaped winter into shelter. And they lived. That's the real secret. Not snow itself, but knowing how to use what the land gives you. If you want more forgotten survival knowledge pulled straight from history's coldest frontiers, subscribe, share this with someone who takes preparedness seriously, and stay sharp. The past still knows things the future will need.